So we are talking about the Free the Nipple campaign. And I don't have that much access to popular culture because of the way that I live. So I first saw an article about the Free the Nipple campaign on Facebook. And I had no idea what it was. And so, I looked at the various Instagrams and what was available to look at on the internet that's easily accessible. And everything that was easily accessible showed women with perfect tits. I don't know how to say that. But yeah, and so it's like, one, my concern is...
You're so fucking loud. Where's it?
Okay, one. So my concern with the Free the Nipple campaign and what I've seen in easily accessible media when I first heard of it is that all these women were very beautiful. And my worry is that younger girls who have, the most access, or who access this the most, I should say it that way, are impressionable younger women. And I'm just worried that when they see these messages, they're going to have to feel the need. There are subcultures of our culture who feel very pressured to look very good. I don't know how to say it, but that's like a priority in their lifestyles. So I just worry that this could spawn a movement where women look at breasts more of an accessory than as their own body. So that's concern number one. Concern number two with the Free the Nipple campaign is this one I came to a circular conclusion. So number two is that for myself, I would have to have a huge paradigm shift in my thinking in order to divorce the idea of breasts from sex and sexuality. And that's actually kind of what happened. Hold on. Okay, so initially, that's how I felt. How is the female body not a sexual object? And, the premise to that thought was, when people who are attracted to women see women naked or, see their breast, they become sexually aroused. And to me, my initial understanding was that this was more of a biological thing, and therefore you can't separate the idea of breasts from sexuality. But then I thought about, you talked about cultural conditioning, and I'm not really going to touch on that because that was more of your idea. But I just finally realized after talking to a friend, and I just finally realized that, and so I came to the conclusion that body parts don't have to be sexual. And some of the reasons that I came to this is one of them was, everyone's seen those pictures in National Geographic where, there's a woman in a different country, and either she's walking on a nude beach in Spain, and it's just the back of them. Or the more common popular image that comes to mind, because we are those people, is in a third world country where women leave their breasts exposed. And so, the breasts aren't sexualized in these contexts. And that made body part sexuality very contextual from there on out. Every other idea I had. So that's one reason. Another reason about this is actually number two. The other reason, number two, was I was taking a design course at university, and my professor was telling us a story about how her grandmother was from Turkey and she wore a headscarf, and even when she moved to America, she continued wearing her headscarf, and she would wear it all the time in front of anybody. Like, she'd only take it off when she was alone in her room. And she said she would say that without it she felt naked. And that made, for me, and that's when I realized that these feelings of exposure, like the sensory perception of exposure, and the feeling to keep some of your body parts private is very relative, and there's definitely a scale. And so that kind of touches on what you said about conditioning. So yeah, I just came to the conclusion that not all body parts have to be sexual for those two reasons. I had a third, but I don't remember it, but thanks for listening.